All right. So my next guest is one of the founders of Angle 3 Films. He was rated the best photographer of 2017 on thenot.com. It's a pleasure to introduce you to Mike Rivera.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so Mike, I can tell right away you're a no bullshit kind of guy, and I like that.
Yeah, I don't like bullshit.
So, no bullshit answer. What is the best advice you can possibly give to someone throwing a wedding from a photography point of view?
Actually, it's very simple. Do what you want as a bride and groom. Remember that this is your big day. These are your memories. Family members, friends, and everybody that's invited, they get to share in your memory. But a lot of times couples tend to work overboard to please everybody except themselves. And as long as you're having a good time and you're having fun at your wedding, then photography and everything else falls into place. And it makes your wedding day so much easier.
All right, so what are some of the moments that you've captured in the past that are just perfect?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I think I've caught magical moments at every wedding. The challenge as a photographer or even a videographer is trying to figure out who these people are in a short amount of time that you get to spend with them. And if you're really good at reading people and kind of basically capturing the narrative of their life in just a few days or in just that one day, you can capture all kinds of magical moments. And that's kind of where the fun is. So every wedding, I've captured gold. I've captured lightning in a bottle. Whether it be, let's say, the flower girl who runs into the arms of the grandma while the first dance is going on because she's a little tired and she happens to catch me with my lens on there and she looks right directly at the camera. Boom, magic. Or whether it's the moment before the I do's where it's just a couple at the altar and everybody's starting to settle in and they have a private moment just between the two of them and they're smiling and giggling and they're kind of making faces kind of like, oh, I can't believe they showed up, or I can't believe we're doing this. And so it's those small, candid, intimate moments where I like to capture. So I like to capture in between. Obviously, everybody has to capture the first kiss and all that, but I like to smile right after the first kiss. Or I like the mom glancing over at her son dancing with his new bride. Or I like the moment where the bridesmaids are tearing up and holding their flowers and they're trying their best to suck it all up, because those are the real moments. So I like capturing as much reality as possible, because when people see a camera, they want to put on their best face or they want to be goofy or whatever. But if I can be invisible and capture the moments that the bride would come up to me and like, I didn't even know you captured that. I didn't even know you were there. And it's one of my favorite photos. To me, that's the best. So yeah, short answer will be every wedding.
You gave me goosebumps from a couple of those stories. That was
Good.
Awesome.
Good.
So I imagine that it took a lot to get where you are. There's a lot of technical things involved. But yeah. I also imagine the technical stuff isn't very sexy to the bride and groom. Okay. So is there any technical details that the bride and groom should be aware of when choosing a photographer?
Not necessarily. I don't think it's the job of the bride and groom to know the technical aspects of how photography works. Sure, there's certain things like, okay, so here's what I always tell potential brides and grooms, where if you see images that you've either found in magazines or on Pinterest or just something that was captured on your parents' wedding, just know what you like, know the aesthetic that you like, and let the photographer match that, or as close as possible, get something close to it. Where, because I mean, if you think about it, you don't want the bride to have to worry about another thing the day of the wedding. So it's the photographer's job to give advice, but it's up to the bride to do what they want with that advice. So for example, if they're picking a venue and the venue is facing the sun at a particular time during sunset, where it's like, okay, cool, you want to have your first dance around here because that sun is going to come in right through those windows and that ray of light is going to hit in that middle dance floor and it's going to be money. on the flip side, it's like, hey, maybe not have these really, really dark curtains because they look good, but you're going to block out all the light. So now we got to bring flash, which is cool. But remember, now you got flashes everywhere. But again, it's all subjective. It's all on the look that you're trying to go for and the photographer that you're getting. Because sometimes photographers can bring you something that you didn't even know you wanted. So it's really important for the bride and groom to have an idea of an aesthetic that they like and then find a photographer that's close to it. So don't worry too much about the technical. Let the photographer worry about that.
So how did you get into this? Like, when did you start shooting?
I started over 10 years ago, so I've been doing it for a while. I started at a photo lab in Sam's Club, of all places. And this was before before digital really took off, so it was still a lot of film. So a lot of people were still bringing film in, getting the rolls developed, and my job was to make sure that everybody got their photos on time and that everything looked good. So I got to experience many different forms of photography from many different types of people, whether it just be, moms and dads taking photos of their kids' first steps versus a professional photographer who would come in with an entire roll from a fashion line that they just shot, or wedding photographers. And I like to think that I have a really good work ethic, so I would always treat all the customers as if they were professionals. And then even the wedding photographers, I knew that that's a lot to deal with, especially when you have multiple people to have to kind of please. So I always treated like wedding photographers almost like priority customers. So I would make sure, hey, I got your photos on time. I got them here. I don't know if you know, but some of the photos, they were a little dark. So just letting you know, would you like for me to brighten them up a little bit? And then, they would tell me. So I always have a back and forth with so many different wedding photographers. And at the time, I was big into cars, specifically lowriders. And because I worked at a photo lab and I got some really good tips from all these different types of photographers, I decided to grab a camera and be my car club's photographer. And then that led to, hey, I like what you did here with these cars. You ever think about shooting weddings? No, but sure, why not? I like to say yes to a lot of things. So I would join these wedding photographers that would come get their film developed, and I would work for them for free just to learn. And I did that for a couple of years where I worked with many different wedding photographers, and that was my school. And then eventually I went on my own. I got better equipment. I got very friendly with people, so it was easier for me to interact with people. So I never was really afraid of, oh my God, I'm gonna fuck up this wedding. I was like, no, they know what I do. They know how I shoot. I'm very friendly. I'm gonna do the best that I can. And so that, fast forward a couple more years, I got into filmmaking, working on film productions and television and big movie sets. And I really got to know what it was to be a director and how to really tell narratives. So then my photography evolved with that. So now I shoot my weddings as if I'm shooting a film. So I'm not capturing wedding moments. I'm telling your story. I'm telling the narrative of your wedding day from beginning to end. I want your guests who, for whatever reason, maybe couldn't show up, to take the album or the digital slideshow, whatever you want to call it, and feel like they were there. Because as they're going through the photo, I want them going, oh, I love that moment. Oh, that was so beautiful. I want them to by the time they're done with that album, to feel like they were there. And now the bride, the groom, and the parties that couldn't show up can talk as if they were there and share in those moments. So I kind of fell into it. I loved it. I loved it even more when I could bring a more narrative style to it. And I've been doing it ever since. Yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
All right. Ish. So you mentioned you worked on some films, and you actually told me some cool films earlier. Can you tell our guests some of the projects that you've worked on?
So I did The Walking Dead for the first couple of seasons. The way I got into that was because I still do, at Netherworld, Haunted House. Mm-hmm. So next Halloween, if you guys go to Netherworld, I might be there. Rah. Anyway, so I was a monster at Netherworld and The Walking Dead, along with a whole bunch of other different horror movies. They started coming to Atlanta because Atlanta became this hot spot for filming. So they would go to Netherworld because they already had the experienced actors, because that's what we do. We scare for a living, and it's a lot of fun. And that kind of helped also in my photography and how I work, because I get to kind of be outside of myself and do different characters and just be free to talk and communicate. And that helped my communication skills. But anyway, so they would come to the haunt and they'd be like, hey, we need zombies. And cool, we got you. So practically almost all the zombies in the first couple of seasons of The Walking Dead is us, Netherworld actors. So, you know, I got to get shot by Rick a few times. I got to eat the horse in season 1. I got to climb the tank. So you see me pop in and out. And then I've done the Carbonaro Effect for True TV. I was on that for a few seasons. It's a magic show where this magician, Michael Carbonaro, which is fantastic, we would go out into the city and just blow people's minds with magic and get their reactions. That was the show. And then I went off and did my own thing. I've done a bunch of directorial things, like shot a few music videos. I shot a few short films. I've done almost a full feature. It's like a little over than a short. Got some theater play, which was awesome. Got nominated for a few things for music videos, which was fantastic. And then I've done some things for Escape Room Atlanta. So if you go to Escape Room Atlanta, the big escape room, whenever you see that video that plays before you enter the escape room, that's me. So you might see me pop in there. I did a clown. I was Boris the Clown. So every now and then I get recognized, like, why do you look creepily familiar? It's like, because maybe I'm Boris. Ah. So they're like, oh, you scare me. I don't like you. But that's always a cool conversation piece when meeting clients. They're like, hey, why do I know you? It's like, oh, I was doing that. Oh, snap. And then it becomes like, hey, we're getting the Walking Dead guy to come over here and shoot our wedding. Oh. So it's always fun. So, which is why I like saying yes to a lot of things, because it's always, to me, life is about stories, building your stories, and then just putting as many stories as you can into your life book. So you always have something to pull from, and interesting conversation starters, and people are always interested in stuff like that. So, yeah. I know I went all over the place, but
I loved it though. I loved it. It was great. Thank you. So to brides who are trying to choose a photographer, what are the questions they should be asking their potential photographers?
Again, subjective. You should always know what you're getting into. So if you think it's a good question to ask, ask. A lot of people get caught up in, like, do you have the latest and greatest gear? It's not always about the latest and greatest gear, because I have a saying where, hey, give me a disposable camera and I'll get you something out of it. So every photographer, videographer is an artist, and their equipment is their tools. So their tools is best suited for an individual photographer, videographer, whatever. So they work best with what they know. So don't get caught up too much in what gear they're shooting. Really, really focus on what it is that they are capturing. And if they are capturing something that you think fits in your style, then you're good to go. Ask about experience, but then again, if you're giving somebody a shot because they're really talented and, you know, for example, maybe they're a really great fashion photographer and you want that fashion eye to your wedding, so maybe experience isn't the most important thing, but you should definitely ask, but know ahead of time, hey, they're not a wedding photographer, they're a fashion photographer, they're just gonna be doing my wedding. So don't be surprised if something doesn't go exactly the way you want. If you want a wedding photographer, then make sure they are a wedding photographer and have experience in wedding photography. Ask if they're solo shooting. Ask how much their rate is. Ask if it's by hour or if it's by day. That's kind of a big confusion when it comes to pricing. But again, it's subjective. Pricing can be all over the map, but just know exactly what you're doing. For example, me, I provide as much as I can in the one rate. There's no hidden fees. So I guess that would be a good question, like, is printing involved? If so, is there an extra cost? Ask all the questions that involve cost. Because what you don't want is to be nickel and diming for your photos after they already took them. Ask what if there is a plan with the photography after the wedding, whether they're going to be sharing it on social media. Some people like to be private, so they're like, no, they're just for me. Maybe one or two you can use for your profile, whatever. But some photographers won't tell you that. They'll use everything and put it out there. Maybe you don't want that picture of you twerking on the dance floor with all your friends and, you know, the groom's taking a big old swig out of the bottle. Maybe that doesn't belong on Facebook for your portfolio. So those are the kind of questions you want to ask. As far as style and all that, again, look at their work. Look at the whole body of work. And honestly, if you're asking them over the phone, get a face-to-face meeting. Meet with them in person. If they don't want to me, that's a red flag. I always meet my clients a couple of times because to me, I want you as the client to feel like a friend is coming to your wedding, not somebody that you're meeting on the first time. You don't want to be meeting your photographer and videographer on your wedding day because now you have the awkward, well, I don't know if I should be me. I don't want to be embarrassing myself. I don't know how they work. I don't know if they're conservative or if they're a party goer. But if you meet them ahead of time, and you have like, you know, this whole back and forth conversation, then like, hey, it's Mike, what's up? Yo, I got a great idea. We're going to do this. Can we do like the Godfather on the table? Bro, I got you. I snap a lot. I just noticed. But it's like a salesman. But, you know, you want to have a really solid relationship before you're showing up to the day of the wedding. So, yes. Ask. There's no wrong question. If it's not just photography, it's not just videography, DJ, wedding planner, and anything that's involved with your wedding, if they're getting annoyed because you're asking so many questions, walk away. Just walk away. So, yes, ask any question, every question. There is no wrong question.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Is there a question that people don't ask enough?
Probably the ones that I just mentioned.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, probably because I've had nightmare scenarios given to me where they had a photographer and they paid, you know, few $1,000s and then they got only digital files but no album, no prints. And they were like, oh, you said there would be prints. Yes, there will be prints. 50 cents a print. Or if you want, we didn't talk about editing. So here's all the raw photos. If you want me to edit, here's an additional fee. So again, just there are no wrong questions. Just ask. And then what I like to do is I like to answer questions that the bride and groom didn't even think about. So I try to give as much information as possible, an info overload. And that way, if the bride is kind of sitting there like, well, you answered that one already. Well, yeah, well, I didn't. Oh, okay, that's a good point. So if I leave them with no questions to ask me, then I feel like I've done my job because I've given them everything they need to know of what I do and how I do and how I operate.
What's the editing process like?
Again, different photographers have different styles. No style is wrong. Nobody does photography wrong because again, I keep saying it's subjective because it's true. What is good for me may not be good to you or, you know, to whoever's watching this. So I will speak on my process. I am under the belief that I have to go through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos and pick the very best ones because again, I'm very focused on the narrative. So I want to pick the photos that are going to line and string along and tell that story of the wedding. And then those are the ones that I'm going to edit. And because I'm doing it one at a time, I'm editing one photo at a time. Some photos can take a few minutes. Some can take an hour because it's like, I like this one, but I don't like this one. I think this one makes a stronger narrative choice. So it'll probably take me half an hour just to pick a photo. And then it'll take me half an hour to edit it. Or it might just take me a few minutes. So it just depends on the photo itself, why I'm choosing the photo, and then fitting the aesthetic of the bride and groom. But I'm also under the belief that if I can do it in camera, I'm doing it in camera. I don't like to edit a lot. So most of my edit time it's combing the footage and choosing the right photo. So that would probably be 70% of the time and then 30% editing. Because if I did my job and I did it in camera, then it looks good already. It might just be a little tweak here and there. You know, take a pimple out here and there, but it's just tweaking. It's not editing to fix a photo. Like, this photo sucks. Get it in post. You know, whenever I hear somebody, fix it in post. Ooh, no, get it in camera, because that's another question. Do you get your original photos? Big question. I include the original photos. So if I take 700 photos, you're getting 700 photos plus the edits. So if you're getting 700 photos, they gotta look good. What are you gonna do with 700 blown out or too dark or blurry photos? So I have that in mind, like, hey, they're getting everything. So I need everything to look good. And in the edit, it's just that little extra pizzazz, a little sprinkle on top. So to really pop them out. And those are the ones that, you know, end up going on top of your chimney, or in your photo book, or in your album, or those are the ones that you're gonna save in case your house burns down. But by the way, I keep everything, so if your house burns down and your album burns down, just call me. I got you. I'll send you another copy. But, you know, it's, to me, I know you didn't ask this question, but this is very important. So to me, the photos are so important to me in my mind, because I know that these photos are going to live with this family for as long as the family is in existence. Even after the bride and groom are done, the grandkids are like, this is my grandma and grandpa at the wedding. I know that. So I know that my work will live on after I'm gone. So these photos are going to be part of this family, and they're going to grow with them for years and years and years. And I've had clients from 10 years ago that I still talk to today, because they'll bring them out on the anniversary, or they'll bring them out when they want to share a memory, or like recently, not to, you know, shit in the punch bowl, but it's a sad moment, but it's beautiful, but it's sad. We shot a wedding where, unfortunately, the groom, just a couple of years after they got married, passed away. And so she has all of these memories that they pull back on the anniversary, and she still, to this day, just a couple of days ago, is tearing up, because we were able to capture, even though they weren't together for that long, we captured what they felt like was an eternity, even if it was just for that small amount of time. And those are the memories that she's going to hold on to of her husband. And we have the video and we have the photos to go with it. So all the family gets to get together and watch it and be transported back in time. I mean, that's basically, as photographers, we're time travelers. We capture moments. We capture time. So I know that. And that's why, to me, it's so important to do the best that I can, or whoever is shooting with me, to do the best that they can. Because again, I mean, these are memories. And they once they're gone, they're gone. But if we capture them and we froze them in time, they can pull them out, relive them, share a tear with their family, share a laugh. And because I have that in my mind, that's why I feel like, to me, it's that important to capture those moments and to do good and to do a good job. Because, I mean, like I said, they're memories, you know? Yeah.
I can feel the empathy coming out of your pores while you're talking about this.
Thank you. I try.
Thank you. So I know the answer to this question, and I have a feeling you're going to take it to a much more beautiful place than I ever could. How important is lighting?
Okay, so lighting is everything. Lighting is just as much as part of your toolkit as your camera. Like I said, the only reason I can say, give me a disposable camera and I get you something out of it, is because I know how to work with light. So that's something that the photographer and the videographer should always have in mind, because a lighting situation can change a okay moment into a magical once-in-a-lifetime moment. Like I said, like for example, if I'm outside and there's good cloud coverage, but there's a ray of light coming in, I'm putting my couple in that light, right? Because if I just put them just over here, but the light's over there, then yeah, it's a cool moment. But now just imagine if I'm able to darken the photo just slightly, because I'm compensating for the brightness of that ray, so that in the shot, everything is slightly dark, but in that ray of light, everything is perfect. And my couple is there, you know, it's, oh, look at this. The sun came out just for us. So if I'm able to capture that, perfect. But if I don't know lighting, that to me is just, oh, it's too bright. We can't go over there. Let's go over here in the clouds. It's like, yeah, that was great. You know, it's diffused lighting. But I captured this moment, right? So I call it hunting for rays of light. But some people like the aesthetic where, no, I like everything kind of like just as lit up as nicely as possible. Cool. Some people like to get artsy-fartsy, like window light or shadows. I love shadows. So some of my weddings tend to be darker than your average wedding because I'm capturing moments in light in contrast, and they look very artsy-fartsy, fashion-y kind of thing. And some people love that. I fall in that camp. But I'm also, so again, I'm adaptive. And if you know your lighting and you know how to work with light, then there is no situation that you can't work with. You know, where some people, they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. All my photos are overblown. I'll fix it in post. And you already know how I feel about post. So lighting is everything. So whether it be working with artificial lighting with flashes or using natural light, and then that's an aesthetic choice again. And if you're looking at different photographers, you'll see that some are natural light photographers and they can do just magic with natural light. And some photographers are all about flashes and strategically putting flashes here and there and creating their own light, which I also really love. But again, it's all depending on the couple and what their personalities are. So I'm not going to go crazy with lighting if it's a very, very romantic, very, you know, down to earth. It's just a couple of people and it's just them two and they want to capture magical moments. I'm not going to bring a bunch of, you know, fucking flashes here, left and right and all that. Because again, now if it's a lot of setup time and it brings them out of their moment. So I'll go natural light. But then I'll have some clients like, no, I want to be in Vogue. I want to be in Vanity Fair. I want everything to be perfectly lit. And I want the light to capture my good side. And I want it soft. Got you. We're setting up a shot. Mm-hmm. We're setting up an actual, what do you call it? Like a fashion shot or a narrative, photojournalistic kind of shot. Whatever you want to call it. It has many names. Then I'll bring out flashes and, you know, like, boom. That's going on the cover of whatever wedding magazine you want to be. So again, it depends on the couple and what they want to do. Some couples just want to be living the moment of their wedding day and having somebody capture the moments. Some people want to bring out all the flash and like, look, I spent $1,000 on this dress. I want all the photos. And they know that they're doing it for the photos because they want to show off. You know, they worked hard for their wedding. They want to show it off, and they want it to reflect in the photos. So then I know, I'm bringing flashes. I'm bringing a beauty dish. I'm bringing small flashes here and there. Or let's just say that the venue is shitty lighting. I'm gonna have to bring a couple flashes. So it depends. So it's whatever you want.
That's a great answer. So what are the points throughout the process that a photographer is used in a wedding?
So a photographer, believe it or not, is probably the person that is spending the most amount of time with the bride and the groom. They are the ones that are there all day, every day, or at least I am, from the moment they're getting their makeup done all the way to the send-off. We're the first ones to see them and the last ones to see them. So depending on the wedding, whether it be a traditional church wedding in a small ceremony, or if it's a 3-day Indian wedding, or if it's a wedding where they have 700 guests and they just rented out an entire warehouse and it's going to be a party to end all parties, you know? It just depends. So, for example, let's say the party to end all parties. I know that I need to capture that energy. So the process for my day is I'm choosing lenses that I get in there with the action. While they're over there partying, pouring drinks, all that, I'm in there with them, capturing everything with my wide-angle lens, and they look like they're having a good time. I'm not going to be in the far back just capturing like 3 people, you know, partying. I'm capturing everything. And if it's more like traditional, then I don't need to be a distraction. I'm going to be in the back capturing those beautiful moments and making sure that they're not distracted by, you know, 5 cameras in their faces or whatever, more of a fly on the wall. So the process, it can change and it varies depending on the actual wedding. And because I've been doing it for so long, I have experience in all weddings. I know all religion, all cultures, all different styles. I've shot weddings in cemeteries. I've shot weddings in the most beautiful destination in Cabo, Mexico. Or I've been on a cruise boat where like, oh, the boats are moving, so I got to make sure I'm shooting fast shutter because otherwise all the photos are going to be blurry. But so the process is different for every wedding. But I'm pretty knowledgeable. So the process, I think, is, let me put it this way. In my eyes, because the photographer is going to be there all day, every day with them and is spending the most time, they should know the ins and outs of how a wedding works so you can be there as their backup. That's, to me, is my job, is to make the bride and groom to be as less stressful as possible. Because if they're not having a good time, it's going to show in their faces. So it's my job to make them happy. And then that can be anything. I've done a wedding where a DJ just screwed everything up. They didn't have any of the music. And like, cool, don't worry about it. I got you. What's the music that you want? Cool. Download the list. Hey, DJ, hey, look, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job, but I'm going to tell you how to do your job. This is what they wanted. Just play this. And boom, save the day. Or it's, so this is what I tell, okay, here's good advice if you're planning a wedding. No matter what's going to happen, it's going to happen. You have no control of the actual reality of the day of the wedding. So you have 2 choices. You have 2 options. You can A, be upset about it, cry, mess up your makeup, or just look mad, and then everybody's stressed out. The groom is, pacing back and forth because grandma from Nebraska is 30 minutes late. Or you can go B, hey, that's 30 minutes that you can go to the side with your groom and use it as a break because the wedding day is about to get chaotic. So take advantage of the moments that you didn't see coming. Spin it and, make it into a positive. Because guess what? I can't Photoshop tears and running makeup. I mean, I can, but I don't want to. Because you're not going to look happy. So it doesn't matter. What's going to happen is going to happen. Be a leaf in the wind. Go where the wind blows. That's a Firefly reference for all you nerds out there. But it's a really good quote. And I can't tell you enough how many times that has saved the wedding. Where the bride is about to just break down and I tell her, hey, I know that this is going on, but what can we do to take advantage of it? If somebody's late, we can go over here and do 30 minutes of impromptu photos. Or just go over there and have a few drinks with your girls. And if it's a groom, hey, let's talk, just chill, relax. So it makes a really bad situation into something positive. And sometimes it's the best moment of the wedding, when it could have been the worst. So, again, no matter what, you can plan as much as you want. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I have yet to shoot a perfect wedding. The closest I've got, maybe 80% everything went according to plan. But there's always that random factor that you can never plan for. So again, you can let it ruin your day, or you can take advantage of it.
I really like that, turning problems into opportunities.
Pretty much. There are no problems, only creative solutions waiting to be happened. Also, coin that. I made that up. I talk a lot, so sorry.
No, you're good. I don't want to step on your toes. So the big day has been had. You took beautiful pictures and took beautiful videos. What are some of the formats that you can then give this to the couple?
So again, depends on the photographer and what you are being provided, or what the actual couple wants in return. I found it over the years, because digital has become so much more easily accessible, I find it that it's easier to just go ahead and give full resolution photos, whether it be on a flash drive or however they would, digitally delivered, however they want it, so that they have everything they need to print as much as their heart desires at whatever size they want. I would be there to coach them. It's like, okay, cool, you have everything. What do you want to do? Oh, I want to print posters. Got you. So this is what you want to do. I can recommend places that you can go print. I can print them, but wouldn't it just be easier for me to tell you where I print them so that you don't have to pay extra and having me to go do it? So I'd rather just give them the opportunity to get exactly what they want. Because let's say, for example, there are companies where they give you all your prints, whether it be just 4x6s and 5x7s. But let's say you have one 5x7 that you really want to get a poster for. Now you have to contact a photographer, which now is going to take time. They have to deliver, or they have to print it out. They're going to charge you a fee to print it. Then they got to deliver it. But hey, I just gave you the high resolution photo. Just print it yourself. No extra cost. Mm-hmm. You do it when you want, how you want. I think I just said when twice. You do it when you want, how you want, wherever you want, and I will give you advice on where to print. So as far as format, I don't really give much because I'm giving them the tools that they need or the photos so they can do whatever they want. A lot of companies don't do that because it cuts their this is how much I don't do it because I don't know the term for it, but you know when you keep making money off the same product.
Residual?
Whatever, I guess, whatever that word is. Google it. But yeah, I'm not if I was in it to make money, I would do exactly that. Just keep milking money on reprints and all that. There are some companies that will charge you, no bullshit, $1,000 to get the high resolution digital copies of the photos because they know they're not going to make money off you no more. I'm giving it to you. It's part of the whole thing. Because again, my job is to make you, the bride and couple and groom, to not worry about it. To not worry about photography, not worry about videographer, not worry about whether I'm doing my job or not doing my job, or whether you're going to have hidden fees later on when you want to print, you know, whether it be a metallic 24x36, which is the thing, because hey, go with me. See, I'm not trying to sell myself, but if you have somebody that advises you on the different products that you can get with your photos, then you're good. But if you're being nickel a dime, then your wedding experience is tainted. Because now you're going to be like, oh yeah, that poster that's over the chimney, oh yeah, it's a great photo. Fucking photographer, man, whoo, I charge like $400 for that. And then I found out that I can get it at Costco for 25 bucks. So, yeah. So as far as format, I just give you the digital files. And if you want prints, I'll help you. Or I can print them because you don't want to worry about it. It's whatever you want.
It's real good advice. It's real good advice.
Thank you.
So I'm sure after...
Weddings by Foto Mike, F-O-T-O, photo in Spanish. Now you know a Spanish word. Foto Mike, F-O-T-O, M-I-K-E.
All right, so one more time, slow. What's the hashtag?
So my main Instagram is, hey, it's Foto Mike. And photo is F-O-T-O because it's in El Español, so I speak Spanish as well. And my wedding Instagram is Weddings by Foto Mike. My regular Instagram is a little bit of everything because I don't just shoot weddings. And that's, if you're a photographer watching this, there are a lot of photographers that go, I don't want to do weddings. I don't want to deal with that. But let me give you some advice. Because of weddings, you learn different aspects of photography that you can go into other venues. For example, a wedding is fashion photography, it's photojournalism, it's sports photography, it's learning how to do natural light versus flashes and whatever. You take all of those things that you learn during a wedding and you can focus on that and go do, if you want to go do a sports photographer, do you know how hard it is to capture a wedding on the quickness, on the fly, and learning how to switch your lenses? Well, guess what? Because you did it at a wedding, now you know when you go to a sports event what to do. If you are lighting up a bride because you want them to look beautiful and phenomenal, you can take those skills and now go do a fashion shoot or a fashion narrative for a magazine because you already learned to do it on the wedding. So don't dog wedding photographers because weddings will teach you everything you need to know about photography because it's a little bit of everything. That was my rant.
Mike, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
For sure.
Mike Rivero, Weddings by Foto Mike, and hey, it's Foto Mike. Check him out on social media.
But there's a little bit of everything on my original Instagram because I do everything, so be warned. There's street photography, there's photojournalism, there's models, there's nature photography, it's everything. So if you're looking for weddings, you gotta scroll a little bit. But if you want to see just weddings, then it's Weddings by Foto Mike. FOTOMIKE. I'm sure there'll be something down there.
Yes.
Just look down there, and I'm sure there'll be a link.
Great job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.